Welcome into Bears Now. I am Harrison Graham. Special thanks to True Classic for sponsoring today's show. Rocking one of their golf polos today. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com/chatsports. Tons of gear available for 25% off. We'll tell you a little bit more about them later on in the show. On today's show, we're going to get into my top 10 free agent targets for the Chicago Bears. But first, I do want to give a bit of a free agency outlook for this team. Right now, they have $62-ish million in projected cap space. We don't know the official cap number for next season just yet, so that's a kind of a ballpark, low 60s. However, I think that number can and will increase because if they cut both Cody Whitehair and Eddie Jackson, you get an additional 21.7 in cap savings, so you'd be close to $85 million there. Even if you just cut Cody Whitehair, you'd be over $70 million. So lots of money to work with, and we are going to see what Ryan Poles does with that money. Now, you look at some of the top needs potentially in free agency. I didn't put quarterback on this because they're not going to sign Kirk Cousins. Sure, they could sign like a vet, like a Jacoby Brissett or something like that, but we'll get to quarterback in just a second. But wide receiver, center, edge, safety, defensive tackle, I think those are some positions. Maybe I'll mention running back as well. But those are positions that could be draft or free agency. Whereas to me, quarterback is you either keep Justin Fields or you draft your quarterback for the long term. Again, you could sign a vet to be like your bridge backup guy if you draft a rookie, but that's not really what we're focusing on here on today's show. If you're excited for this Bears offseason, like the video. It's already underway. It's already fantastic. Hit that like button here on today's show. Trying to get 2,000 likes, so if you're fired up for the rest of the offseason, go ahead and prove it by liking this show. All right, 10 free agents we're going to take a deep dive into here. Number one is Chris Jones, and I thought about this one real hard because Gervon Dexter has really come on in the latter half of the year. Justin Jones played fairly well this year. You could re-sign him for cheap and kind of just platoon those two guys again. But I just look at Chris Jones, and I know he's 30, and I know he's going to cost a lot. But if he hits the open market, he's leaps and bounds the best free agent. I get things looked better at 3-tech down the stretch. But you kept Matt Eberflus, and you've said – since he had this job, what is the engine to this defense? And you've said it's the 3-tech. Chris Jones is the best 3-tech in the NFL, unless you want to say Aaron Donald. So if you can get him, even on a short-term deal, and maybe you lower his snaps a little bit to extend his career and also allow Gervon Dexter to continue to grow, that's pretty appealing to me. You put him next to Montez Sweat, have rotation guys like Dexter, DeMarcus Walker. You could sign me up for that very, very quickly. At number two, it is Danielle Hunter. And as this goes, these aren't like the literal 10 best players in free agency. These are kind of just guys that fill needs that I think could be realistic-ish as well. Danielle Hunter, I think, is the most realistic prime edge on the market, and he was unbelievable for Minnesota this year. I mean, the production speaks for itself. The 80 pressures, the sacks, the forced fumbles. He's great against the run as well. And here's the key. The Vikings cannot franchise tag Hunter because if you remember last year, he was holding out of all the offseason stuff, but then they redid the last year of his contract, basically did a brand new one-year deal, and part of that contract was no franchise tag. So if Minnesota does not extend him or sign him to a new deal before free agency opens, it's open season, and I feel like there's a chance he would take top dollar. He's 30. This is kind of the last big time he can cash in, and hey, if you're the Bears, why not poach a very good player from a different NFC North team? You got the cap space to do it, and you could certainly use another pass rusher. Now, I'm not going to dive deep into Josh Allen, the Jags edge rusher, and Brian Burns, the Panthers edge rusher. Of course, if they hit the open market, I would be very interested, but I'd also be shocked if either of those teams either A, did not sign them to long-term deals before free agency, or B, franchise tagged them. Right? If they free up, obviously I'm interested, but I just don't think that's very likely, as is the case with a T. Higgins as well. I'm not diving into him on today's show either. Now, pick a defensive lineman. Would you rather go with Chris Jones, the defensive tackle, or Danielle Hunter, the edge rusher? Both are 30, similar age, but obviously play different positions here. You want another guy coming off the edge, or do you want to put a guy on the interior? CJ for Chris Jones or DH for Danielle Hunter? Kind of it's hard to make a decision there. It should be easy to get going with True Classic. They have lots of choices available, but unlike choosing between Danielle Hunter and Chris Jones, why not choose both their T-shirts and their polos and their Cheetos, their jeans, and their other products as well? You know how they say it's going to be a new year, new me? How about new year, new tees? Because the T-shirts from True Classic are classic. They're comfortable. They show the right parts of your body, whether you have a six-pack, an eight-pack, or a bit of a beer gut like your boy here. It's going to be hiding the parts you want to hide. It's going to show off the parts you want to show and fit you perfectly. They've also got joggers that are very stretchy. They have comfortable hoodies with winter now being here as well. Do not miss out on True Classic this year. It's a perfect time to upgrade your wardrobe here with just some classic clothing items from True Classic. Here's what I want you to do. Go to trueclassic.com/chatsports. Why /chatsports? Because if you plug in /chatsports, you're going to get 25% off. And I suggest you buy in bulk. 3-pack, 6-pack, 9-packs of T-shirts, hoodies, and polos. That gets better bang for your buck per T-shirt, polo, whatever it is. Because when you buy in bulk with True Classic, they get you better value. trueclassic.com/chatsports. Trust me, you're not going to regret it. Link is in the comments and in the description. It gets 25% off. I've been rocking True Classic for a couple of years now. All right, number 3 here. How about Mike Evans, the Bucs wide receiver? Now, I would think Tampa's going to try to bring him back, but they also have a big decision at quarterback. Is Baker Mayfield their QB of the future? And if he is, they're going to have to pay him more than the $8 million they paid to have him last year. Mike Evans may look to cash in one more time. And if you're Ryan Poles, what if you say, hey, let's 2 years, $50 million for Mike Evans? 25 a year is a lot for a 30-year-old receiver, but on a 2-year deal, he's still incredible, guys. Almost 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns this year. He is the most underrated receiver of all time. We were talking about this in the office earlier. 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's the only one, I believe, to start his career doing that. And the only longer streak is Jerry Rice with 11. I mean, seriously, no one is doing what this guy has done from a consistency standpoint year in and year out. And the reason I like this fit is you put his 6'5", 235-pound body on the outside as a boundary receiver opposite of DJ Moore, who can line up at the X, the Z, the slot. He can move him around. Evans primarily on the outside. I like that fit. Now, obviously, the Bears could go receiver in the first round, and I would probably, from a long-term standpoint, prefer that. But you'd be damn wrong if I wouldn't take Mike Evans on a 2 or 3 year deal. This guy can ball. He gives you an element that you don't already have. So, yeah, I'm definitely very, very interested in his services. I'm also interested in Derrick Henry. I've kind of been on this kick recently, and I don't know what it is. I think part of it is just, other than those 2 Khalil Herbert games against Atlanta and Arizona later in the year, you kind of look back at the season and you're like, where was the consistent running back production? I know you look at the raw team stats, the Bears were a good running team, but they never had consistent running back play from a running, hitting the hole standpoint, getting downhill, protecting the passer was a big problem. Derrick Henry can still carry the load. I mean, he had 280 carries this year, almost 1,200 yards in a bad Titans offense with 12 touchdowns. I like the idea of upgrading at running back, and I like the idea of Derrick Henry. Like, I'm just envisioning him in 25-degree weather in the month of November, December, January as this team is making a playoff push. Like, that's a guy you can lean on, man, whether Justin Fields is your quarterback or a rookie quarterback is. You're going to need to have a reliable running game, and Derrick Henry can provide that. He can be your starter. Khalil Herbert can be your change of pace guy. And Roschon Johnson can be your third down back who can protect the passer, catch the ball out of the backfield. I think that's a huge upgrade from what you currently have. Deontay Foreman was a healthy scratch late in the year. You're telling me Derrick Henry, 2 years, $20 million you wouldn't sign up for? Oh, I absolutely would. Connor Williams, and there's a lot of things to consider here, but number one, you need a center. And Connor Williams was graded as arguably the best center this year by PFF. You look at the numbers here, the overall, fantastic. Run blocking, phenomenal. Pass blocking was good. Gave up just 1 sack, had 7 penalties. It's been a bit of a problem in his career. He's a little bit grabby, but you'll live with that if he's a consistent protector. Now, here's the caveat. He tore his ACL on December 11th. So what's the recovery timeline? And the challenge here would be is whether it is Justin Fields or a rookie quarterback, you want to build that chemistry quarterback with center, and he's not going to be there, snapping the football and mini camp probably. Like you're hoping he's ready by training camp in this scenario. That would be right at 8 months. So, that's the risk here. But a potential reward is you might get him at a discount. And, assuming he comes back healthy, ready for week 1, you're getting a very good center for not a huge price. So I'll be curious to see if the Bears consider him. It's a bummer for him, especially that he tore his ACL because he was in line perhaps for a pretty big payday as the top free agent center. Subscribe today. It's already been a wild offseason. It will continue, and we're going to cover it all. Hit that subscribe button here on Bears Now by Chat Sports. Do not miss out as we're trying to get to 85,000 subscribers. 6 through 10 here. Justin Madubuike, the defensive tackle for Baltimore. He kind of had a so-so first 3 seasons, got a little bit better each year, and then the breakout came in year 4. 13 sacks, 33 quarterback hits, 12 TFL'S. He wouldn't cost as much as a Chris Jones. He'd probably be more in that $18 to $20 million per year range if I had to guess. And Baltimore may not be able to pay him. They have a lot of big contracts on their books, so maybe the Bears look to get a rising young defensive tackle to put on this defensive line. The same could be said about Bryce Huff, the edge with the New York Jets. And he's an intriguing player because he's not very good against the run. And I know typically Matt Eberflus values guys who can play the run well, and he doesn't play it that well. But damn, can he rush the passer. 20% pass rush win rate, 10 sacks as kind of a heavy rotation guy for the Jets. And look, maybe it's a scenario where you got Montez Sweat on one side, Bryce Huff on the other side, and you kind of platoon him with DeMarcus Walker, who can kick in and play outside and play him more on rundowns. So who knows, right? Like, I just like that one out of every 5 passing snaps, he's getting home. Like, he's affecting the quarterback. So he's been doing that for a few years with the Jets. His role increased this year, and the pass rush win rate was still 20+%. I mean, it's really, really impressive. He's probably going to cash in fairly well, but again, Danielle Hunter's probably going to be $20 to $25 million per year. Huff might be more in like the 13 to 16 range. So it all depends on the type of value that Ryan Poles is looking for. Now, which position on the defensive line is a bigger need right now? If you think it's defensive tackle, type DT, or if you're going with edge, just type edge there. Curious what Bears fans think. Got a few more here. Geno Stone, remember the name here. Shout out Jacob Infante. I know he's tweeted about him a few times over the last couple of months. So the Ravens kind of shifted to a 3-safety defense this year, and Geno Stone kind of was that third safety that got the nod this year, and he's run away with that role. This could be your Eddie Jackson replacement, and it could be an affordable one. Geno Stone, 7th-round pick out of Iowa a few years, was kind of just a special team, sticking around type of guy. Then this year, he's been awesome in that Ravens defense. Now, maybe it's the scheme, I don't know, but 7 picks, coverage grade from PFF, 84.9, 9 breakups as their third safety. I think he could come in here and play free safety for an affordable contract and be, at least from a coverage standpoint, as productive, if not more productive than Eddie Jackson at this point in his career. $5 to $7 million per year for a guy like Geno Stone, I think that could be in the works. Hunter Henry, the tight end for the New England Patriots, who at one point was considered a top 5, top 10 tight end in this league. I don't think he's that anymore, but I still think he's a starting tight end for a lot of teams and would be a hell of a number 2 behind Cole Kmet, right? Hunter Henry has always been a productive receiving weapon as a tight end. Even this year in a bad Patriots passing attack, still had 6 touchdowns, still had 42 catches. Like, he's a guy that can work the red zone, and I think, you could get out of him what you were hoping to get out of Robert Tonyan, who obviously that was a bit of a flop this year. But I would love getting Hunter Henry, re-sign Mercedes Lewis as your tight end 3. He says he wants to play another year, and that can be your tight end room right there. You don't even have to worry about the draft. And then Mekhi Becton. This is, I wanted to get a bit frisky with this last one. Mekhi Becton, who before this year, for the last couple of years, basically did not play due to injuries. He also had some weight concerns. And look, he's a very big offensive tackle. He's like 360, so I don't know if Ryan Poles feels like he's got enough of that athletic profile to play on this offensive line. But for his size, he is very athletic. Now, Olin Kreutz said something interesting on 670 The Score the other day, who has worked directly with Braxton Jones the last offseason to help with his anchor and improve. And I do think Braxton Jones took a step forward and is a starting caliber left tackle. Ryan Poles agreed, but Poles also acknowledged that competition is never a bad thing. So Kreutz thinks that they're going to bring in some competition there to push Braxton. Now, I don't know if that means they're going to draft Olu Fashanu in the first round, but I think this would be like ideal competition, right? Mekhi Becton, who's a former first-round pick, talented player. If he doesn't win the job, he could be your swing tackle. Offensive linemen get hurt easily. So I would certainly like that. I think he'd be an upgrade over Larry Borum in that role. I would be open to a guy like Mekhi Becton, 1 year, $5 million, come compete, and, at worst, be the swing tackle. So maybe that's an option that the Bears consider. Now, who is your top Bears free agent target? Look, in the best world, like Brian Burns hits free agency, but again, I don't think that's very likely. I think like a Danielle Hunter is a realistic option. Derrick Henry is a realistic option. A Justin Madubuike as well. Drop a name in the comments of someone you would like the Bears to sign. All right, guys, that's it for our free agent targets video. My name is Harrison Graham. I'm sure the Bears will be linked to a million more free agents than just the 10 I talked about here today. We'll see you guys soon. Bear down.